What's up, you guys? Joe Dobby here, back at it again with another deck profile. BT9, quite frankly, kind of stale for me now. So I wanted to dive straight into BT10 and kind of, theorize on certain decks that I might be wanting to build. Shout out to Ed TCG for kind of giving me a baseline because I kind of forgot how to update loop. That said, I think this specific style of Minerva loop is what I will be jumping into. I did have a few cards that are different from Ed's and from the other lists that I've seen, so I'm just gonna dive right into it. This is my first draft. Obviously, as I test, we'll be seeing more and more updates. But that said, diving into the eggs, first one's Demimera. On deletion, draw one, trash one. Good for cycling, especially in loop, and allows you to trash key pieces that you might want to bring out later on. Next, we have one copy of Pagu. There's a bunch of different cards you can run. You can even run Sunomon or whatever, but I like this Pagu specifically because sometimes you're gonna get greedy and you're gonna want to swing with that Cerberusmon for 7k, and if it survives, you get to use Cerberusmon Werewolf mode. And the Pagu, actually, when attacking, you get to trash one to gain that extra DP. So pretty good card overall. I don't think whether it's the first egg I see or not, I think I'll like it either way, simply because I just get to throw a piece in my trash, which is pretty good, for example, for Minervamon targets. Next, we're running the 4 copies of the on deletion, draw 2, trash 1 Gabu. Pretty standard there, so not much to note. We're running things that will bottleneck your opponent's options right now, like Gazimon, so they can't use memory except with tamer effects, and Psychmon, which I think will be big against Cross Wars, or the Cross effect, right? The one where you basically reduce play costs based off how many sources you play underneath from your tamers, etc., etc. That said, other decks will have outs to Psychmon, but the more you can recur Psychmon, the more difficult it might be for them to maneuver, so that's why I run it at 3. Next, for the level 4s, we've got one copy of Vilemon here. Vilemon is your really awesome 6k DP blocker. I'm running the 1 copy because I don't really want to evo for 2 with it. I just want to see it in my trash for effects later on. Next, 1 copy of Promote. This is once again just to swing for game, just so you can bring out Promote from trash and then just swing for game, as I mentioned. Next, 4 copies of Scatter Mode. We're kind of running the whole engine here with the 1 Eismon because you want to cycle as often as you can. Eismon can also be a quick bridge to your Cerberusmons, which is a facilitator of certain combos. Next, 3 copies of the 1 cost Devimon. If Vilemon was 1 cost, I'd obviously play 4 Vilemon instead, but the Devimon's really there just because of its 1 cost ability, and it's a blocker, so it'll stop any early swings that some cross rookies might have. Next up, we have the level 5, so this is where it varies a little bit. I run 1 copy of Chimera instead of committing to the 4/4 Cerberusmons, simply because Chimeramon tends to be a pretty good Digimon to use when used with Minervamon, for example, because Minervamon does have a very strong on deletion effect. So you can drop Chimeramon for however many memory. You might pass turn, sure, but you will get that value and end up being fairly wide as well. And if your opponent can't respond to your wide board, well, that Chimera is just another bridge for you to go into a level 6, so not too bad. 4 copies of this Cerberusmon, on deletion, draw 2, and then trash 1. Very good, as it does combo with Werewolf mode, and Werewolf mode is your main engine to kind of just gain memory through analog use, to cycle through your deck, and to get some early 9k DP swings when you can. So yeah, this guy is basically rush, and on play, you may delete your Cerberusmon to gain 9 memory, which is kind of cool. I'm tempted to run Ultimate Sacrifice, but for now I'm holding off. We'll see what testing will bring me. So Minervamon is the new card actually from BT10 that is a total 4 of. I didn't really know how much to play Minervamons, but I find that it does make sense from what I'm seeing that the 4 ofs are pretty good. So Minervamon has innate retaliation, so if you swing with Cerberusmon, it survives. You can then Digivolve into Minervamon and actually protect the stack from being swung over. And when it's your opponent's turn, when they play a Digimon, not once per turn, you may play a purple level 4 or lower Digimon card from your trash without paying its memory costs. On-play effects don't activate, but once again, that's where you get to bring out your blockers and your Gazimons and Psychmons to really stifle your opponent's plays. And on deletion, this is what the Chimeramons and any self-deleting effects that I'll show you later on are for. If your opponent has 2 or less Digimon in play, you can play 1 purple level 5 or lower Digimon or 1 Minervamon from your trash without paying its memory cost. So this is really cool because if you can self-delete Minervamon to play out like a Cerberusmon werewolf mode, or play out a Chimeramon, or play out a regular Cerberusmon, you can do all kinds of shenanigans to basically get you there that much quicker, swing for game that much quicker. And that's something that I really like, the on deletion effect, the retaliation, and the opponent's turn effect. For me, make Minervamon a very, very powerful purple card, and I'm actually so excited for this card. I might not even just play it in loop style. There might be other ways you can play Minervamon that will make her super fun, but for now, we're just running her this way. 2 copies of Lilith from the regular loop. This is just to basically, ideally, you get to Minervamon ASAP, and then you build your second stack off her opponent's turn effects, and then you get into Lilithmon that way, gaining a ton of memory, and then through Jack raids and what have you, and then over the Lilithmon stack is where we go into our level 7s here. Death X is not what you would go over Lilithmon with, obviously. This is more of an on-play counter to Cross Wars. As they play multiple tamers, etc., you can basically use Death X Mon for cheap. But now I think every color now will have a reduced play cost, so you have to be wary of the timing that you do play Death X and make sure that, it's optimal. Bringing back the Zwart, which is really cool because I love Omnimon Zwart. He's actually my middle Digimon in Digimon Cyber Sleuth right now. Long process of finishing the game. I've been very busy, but when Digivolving, trash the top 3, then you can play up to 2 black or purple Digimon with a play cost of 8 or less from your trash without paying its memory cost, right? So sometimes you can just slam Omnimon Zwart down and not keep turn just so you can bring out 2 blockers and then counter next turn, or you can just get enough memory. It's not hard to gain enough memory to just Zwart and keep turn here, and then you can trigger its when attacking effect and kind of go crazy, which is really cool. 1 copy of Back for Revenge to really abuse Minervamon, because if you use Back for Revenge on Minervamon, swing into security, doesn't die, you can trigger your deletion effects to bring Minervamon back and trigger her own on deletion effects as well. So very powerful card. A 1 of for now. I think you'll only ever need 1 because you will cycle through your deck quite quickly. I'm greedy here, running 4 Jack raids. Some people like to run 3. I like to run 4. I like to have threats in my security whenever I can. And this Jack raid isn't even that much of a threat. It's just to kind of stall your opponent a little bit until you get the opportunity to counter with a very big momentum swinging play. Lilith Loop has been, always been, and probably will ever be that momentum turn. You're playing for that one big turn where you're going to tip the scale of the course of the game and ultimately just have an insurmountable lead towards the end of the sequence. You will obviously swing a lot early mid game, with the scatter modes, with the Cerberusmons, etc. However, you really want to close out that with that big Jack raid play, and that's why I run it at 4. 3 copies of Revive from Darkness. You can delete one of your purple Digimon, then you may play 1 level 5 or lower purple Digimon from your trash without paying its memory cost. So this is the big combo. You delete your Minervamon, you then have to fulfill the effects of Revive from Darkness, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me in the comments. So you would play this regular Cerberusmon. Then Minervamon's on deletion effect would trigger. If they have 2 or less, you can play 1 level 5, so you can potentially play werewolf mode. I am not making that mistake, am I? I'm pretty sure that's correct. Without its paying its memory cost. And then ultimately you would pop this and gain, basically it's a werewolf mode for 5, well, for 4 memory, then you gain 5 from that sequence, which is kind of strong. And then from that 5, you basically cycle again, which is really cool. I don't think that's wrong. Just correct me in the comments if that's the case, because once again, this is my first draft deck, and I'm just having fun, just taking in some of the combos I can pull off as a purple player, you know? But yeah. And last 3 cards here, 2 copies of Call from Darkness. If I have to, I might reduce Jack Raid to 1 to get even greedier and play Calling from Darkness at 3. Delete one of your Digimon, then return up to 2 purple Digimon cards from trash to hand. Very good effect, pretty straightforward. 1 copy of Matt, just to return another card. This is why I only run 2 copies of Calling, because Matt will basically return a card for me. If anything, it's a memory tamer, so Minervamon and Loop will be guaranteed to Evo and keep turn. And lastly, Analog Youth, just to search and also to gain memory off the Cerberusmons, or deleting your own Digimon with sources and allowing you to hatch an egg, basically. So if you don't have game on board, you can actually get game through raising, which is really cool. And once again, it's a 2-cost searcher, so can't really go wrong there. Yeah, guys, that is pretty much the profile. Super quick, super easy. I really am excited to play this deck. I think, you know, Loop has kind of been meh for me, because like I find piloting that deck really, really good, though sometimes you can just get rushed down, which really sucks. I think Minervamon addresses some of the pain points that I've had with the Loop deck, and I'm very excited to play it. But that said, y'all, thank you so much for watching. If you like the content, like and subscribe, and have a good day.